Are you ready for the heavyweight championship of the world? Are you ready?
All right, and we're back. Another episode of Ant in His Corner. Coming out the white corner, my name is Bill, and I'm ready to fight.
And coming out the black corner, my name is Barry, and I'm ready to fight.
All right, I want a good, clean fight. Let's get it on.
All right, welcome to Ant in His Corner, where we settle the score once and for all on who's the best. That includes best music, best shows, best movies, best anything. And basically, this week, what we talking about, Bill?
Man, we have a good one today. We are talking about Waiting to Exhale. We are reviewing Waiting to Exhale soundtrack. However, today we have a special guest who is going to be a part of this review.
She's going to spar with us. We got a sparring buddy today.
Yeah, so it's going to be a three-way fight. We want to introduce the boss lady, Coco. Welcome.
Welcome, Coco. And just some background information. Coco is somebody that we known for a minute from college years, just basically being in Tampa, knows a lot about music. Some of these conversations that we're going to have today, it's not the first time we've had them. We've had them behind closed doors. And then when we wanted to discuss this album, we'd be remiss if we didn't invite her. So welcome to the ring, Coco.
Thank you. I guess I will be in the yellow corner. I don't know. Y'all give me a color.
You know what? Today's different. It's an exhibition match. So I mean, hey, I got my gloves off. We about to get dirty. So without any further ado, we talking about Waiting to Exhale, the soundtrack, right? A memorable soundtrack, memorable movie. So ladies first, go ahead and just where were you upon release? Just give us some tidbits. Where were you on release? And just kind of like give us your 2 cents on, did this album mature over time? Does it flow today? How do you feel? Does it tie in well with the movies? Just give us your best memories when it comes to this album.
Okay, so my memories when it comes to this album, and I'm probably showing my age, but I was in elementary school when this album came out. So definitely was, for me, it was more on the vocal side because I was too young to understand what was going on. As I got older, obviously the movie itself is a classic. So you can never not watch the movie. Like me seeing the movie at a young age versus me watching it now, it definitely hits different now than it did before. So I would definitely say it has matured in that sense because it resonates with you at different times in your life, especially as a woman, which I'm shocked that y'all even want to discuss this album because it's men being in women's business as usual. So
it's a classic. It's a classic.
Definitely it's matured over time, in my opinion, as far as that.
All right, Bill, you got anything you want to go?
Of course. I remember actually I was working at the movie theaters when this movie came out back home. And I remember how big it was. Many women came to watch the movie. It was a few years after my mom and dad divorced, so it kind of hit me a little differently because of the whole Bernadette issue and so forth. But again, I just remember the movie, the soundtrack. Man, we talked about it. You know, I have it as my number 2 of all time. Each song is perfect. And has it matured over time? Yes, it has. It's a classic. And did it flow with the movie? Absolutely. 100%.
That's awesome. So, hey, I'm going to show my age as well. I'm probably a year senior to Coco. So I was in elementary school. I was in the 3rd grade. My sister ordered this. This is one of the last albums I remember getting off of that Columbia house where you buy like 12 albums for a penny.
Yep,
so I remember,
for a penny or like 10 cents. Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
So my sister ordered this for Christmas. This movie was released that Christmas season, 95. And I just and you can't talk about the album without talking about the movie. So I just remember we got the album before the movie came out. And I just remember the first 2 songs, me knowing and me going to fast forward to certain songs. But when the movie came out, over time, the music has become synonymous with the film. Like, I think I grew to love certain songs because I remember exactly when it played in the movies, or it reminds me of certain characters from the film. So once again, did it tie in and mimic the flow of the movie perfectly? Did it mature over time? Yes. My taste and my favorite songs have changed as I got older. Just because I kind of understand. And it also is Babyface. That's the reason we talk about it. That's my favorite writer of all time when it comes to the music industry. So yeah.
Agreed.
So without actually this album, it's not, you said you're surprised, Coco, that two men want to talk about it. It's a pop culture album. And you got a couple of fun facts with you. You care to share with us some important accolades that this album, like some records that it holds and everything like that?
Yeah, definitely. So I have my notes, so excuse me for a second. So album accolade, it was number 1 on Billboard's top 200 chart for 5 weeks. Top R&B albums chart for 10 weeks. The album stayed on for a total of 49 weeks on the Billboard 200 chart, 70 weeks on the top R&B albums chart. In 1996, it was the number 1 soundtrack album, which probably should still be the number 1 soundtrack album, in my opinion, on the Billboard's year-end charts, and the best-selling soundtrack recording. It had 11 Grammy nominations in 1997, with 1 Grammy for Best R&B Song, Exhale, Shoop Shoop, by the late, great Whitney Houston, and in total it had 12 million record sales.
So number 1, 49 weeks on top 200. That's basically the whole year. And just
that's a year.
Like literally.
11 Grammy nominations with
1.
Do you know how much they won?
One Grammy for Best R&B Song for Shoot.
That's that BS right there.
Yeah,
that's
I would have to go back and research that 97 Grammy because I need to see who how did I lose 10 other.
It's a lot. It's a lot of good music. It would be the 96 year. That's like the Space Jam year. So I Believe I Could Fly went up against it.
Yeah.
If you think of all the music that came out in 96, I feel you. But there's some songs on here that I'm like, okay, that deserves a Grammy nomination, a win. But actually, let's talk about some of these records. So we're gonna go through the playlist track by track and just give our our feedback on what we love, what we could do without type deal. So let's talk. Bill, you want to how you want to do this? You want to read the tracks or?
Yeah, I'll read the track and I will read the track and I'll also let us know who was the artist featured on the song.
Cool.
All right.
We'll go. You'll go last. Coco will actually let Coco get the best. The best job. All right, you go first. Ladies,
we got it. Yeah, then, ladies first.
Yeah. All right.
I
go next, and then you.
Starting the record out, first song, Exhale, Shoop Shoop, Whitney Houston.
This song, for reference, it plays when Savannah, which is Whitney Houston's character, reunites with her former ex, Kenneth. So, and then also it plays instrumentally throughout every other scene in the movie. So every time each lady comes to like an aha moment in her life, or like she's transitioning into a different phase of her life, you can hear it kind of playing in the background. I mean, I don't want to jump the gun as far as biggest and all this other stuff, but the song speaks for itself. It's pretty much the song of the album. It is the song. It's the one that got the Grammy, for God's sake. He got the Grammy. So, and then, Whitney Houston always understands the assignment. So it goes without saying that this song was the one that needed to carry the torch for the entire soundtrack and for the movie itself. So it's something that, as soon as you hear it, you think about the movie. Whereas sometimes you'll hear songs from a soundtrack, you forgot that it was even on that movie soundtrack. But this song, when you hear it, you automatically think soundtrack and movie, it goes hand in hand. One of my favorites for sure.
I'll jump in real quick, Barry. Basically, to me, you could not have started the album off better. You started out with Shoot, and that I think it set the tone for the rest of the next 15 songs. So you're starting out here, and it's building up. It's like a wave. You're going up and down, fast, slow, heartbreak, dance songs. So I don't think you could have started this album off with any other song other than Exhale, Shoop Shoop.
Yeah. And this was like the first I may be wrong. I remember this being the first single, just because this is the reason why we bought the soundtrack in the first place.
Yeah.
And then I just remember when they were promoting the movie, this would always play on the trailer. So this is the song that my mind automatically thinks of the movie. I think some of these songs have actually, not that they've outgrown the movie, but I like when I think of some of the other tracks, it's not necessarily as synonymous as this one. I only think of this song for this film. And once again, Waiting to Exhale does that. Like Coco mentioned, they play some of the same records over and over, but this is the one where it was like the undertone of the whole film. So it's in a lot of the scenes. It's Whitney Houston. It's like, like Whitney Houston wasn't even supposed to have music on the soundtrack. So this was kind of a blessing in disguise. So I love it. At the end of the day, I mean, it's Babyface. And once again, fun fact, all the new songs on this album are produced and written by Babyface, except for My Funny Valentine, which is just Shaka Khan's rendition of it.
Jazz. So, let me add that, jazz.
Yeah.
You already know. All right. So let's jump to number 2. We're coming right back with another Whitney Houston song. Why Does It Hurt So Bad?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, for reference, also, this was during the scene when Gloria, which is played by Loretta Devine, was in an argument with Marvin, who's played by the late Gregory Hines, about her son going to Spain. Her son Tariq. They were having that conversation about that. Why does it hurt so bad? If you're watching this and you haven't seen Waiting to Exhale, please go watch it.
Please.
Every song on the soundtrack, you can literally pinpoint it on each situation that every lady in the movie is going through. So that the song made sense, especially with the scene that it was paired with, because it was a very hard decision that Gloria was facing. And she was kind of having to just basically getting back into a corner to come to realization of what direction she needs to go in with that whole thing. So I thought it was perfect. And then also, again, another track with Whitney Houston. It was also refreshing to hear her on that track as well. So it's not one of my favorites because it's just really too somber for me. And there are a lot of somber moments in that movie. Like it could be a tearjerker, but it could also be a turn-up movie in certain aspects, depending on where you are in your life. But it's still great nonetheless. I mean, Whitney Houston can do no wrong in my eyes, but it's not on my hot list of songs that are like important to me.
Yeah. And I agree. To piggyback off of that, I don't have to listen at it, but there's no song that I skip. So if there is a song that I would skip, it may be this one. I do have another one that I don't have to listen to it, but there are no skippable songs. Does that make any sense? Again, Whitney, second song of the album, her second song. Again, Whitney she's the model. She's a prototype. So again, she knows how to give you enough soul with the song, and she knows how to pull it back. So Why Does It Hurt So Bad? Again, great song. Go ahead,
great song, great album. And I may be the biggest fan out of the two of y'all with this one. Growing up, just a fun fact or quick story. My first time seeing Waiting to Exhale, the movie, I was on Punishment. So I actually only heard it audio-wise. Mm-hmm. So I had no choice but to love the music. And this song reminds me, because Why Does It Hurt So Bad? The lyrics, I was young, but this is one of the few songs where I actually listened to the lyrics because I was on Punishment and I couldn't watch the movie. Like my mom was like, stay in the room. So I just remember these lyrics speaking to me the most. And I think I like it for sentimental reasons. But once again, Shoop Shoop is the bigger Whitney track on this album.
Yeah, obviously.
But I like it. This is actually, I put this as one of the better songs on the album. So I'm kind of on a different page than you guys.
Okay.
But yeah, so love it. Sentimental value. Yeah, and I love this song outside of the movie.
Makes sense. All right, let's jump to number 3. Man, Let It Flow. Toni Braxton, Let It Flow. Here we go.
All right, Let It Flow. So back to referencing it to the movie, this is when Savannah, played by Whitney Houston, is having one of a few phone conversations with Robin, who's played by Layla Rashawn. And I mean, again, not trying to jump ahead, but this song's up there for me. What I love though about, especially like if you go back with like the exception of a few, if you look at the titles of all the songs, it literally kind of like plays into kind of like a discrete message to what all the ladies are going through. Like some of them actually do need to let it flow. Some of them, do need to exhale. Some of them, why does it hurt so bad? So I like that this song definitely was included in the soundtrack, especially based on the different areas that the women also have to figure out, okay, I got to come to terms with this. Savannah has to come to terms with what she's doing with Kenneth. Robin has to come to terms with what she's doing with Russell. Like all these things. Okay, so now we just have to let it flow. We have to let it go and let it flow. So I think it was definitely strategically placed in there for sure. And then of course, Babyface and Toni Braxton, they're like R&B husband and wife. So it's a no-brainer for her to be on the soundtrack, especially with him having something to do with it. And she sounds absolutely amazing with the acoustics and everything on the guitars and the song. It's a perfect song all the way around for me. It's definitely in my top list, but we'll get to that later.
All right. For me, Let It Flow. I'm into the whole instrumentation of everything, and that guitar is what rings out to me. That's the first thing I hear. But Toni Braxton's voice, I always think about Anita Baker. If I had to think about someone who would play Anita Baker, it'd be her, because they sing in the same range. They're the Marvin and Tammy, they're the whoever you want to name. Babyface and Toni Braxton, whenever they get together, they just make magic. Magic happens. And with this song, you can tell it's tailored specifically for her, because the music, the instrumentation, the music goes perfectly with her voice. It's a marriage. So for me, like Coco, we'll get to the top. We'll get to that at the end. But listen, this is one of them songs right here. So let it flow.
I think with Let It Flow, it may actually be the one song on this album that ends up in everybody's top 3. I think regardless, I hear different lists all the time, but this one actually shows up the most. Maybe not at number 1, but it's in that top 3. For the longest, I went through a period of my life where this was my favorite song on the album. Low key, no, all right, never mind. I see my favorite song, but it's really close. But yeah, it's Toni Braxton, man. At this point, if excluding Whitney Houston, she was a soundtrack guy. You know what I mean? It's like anytime they put her on the soundtrack, it was Whitney. So this is one of them. This is like, like I went through a phase in my life once again where I said this was the best song on the album. It's changed over time, but definitely when it plays in the movie, it just goes hard. Like you can't help but just start singing the lyrics and bopping your head. So I love it. Next up,
number 4, It Hurts Like Hell, Aretha Franklin, R.I.P.
Right. It Hurts Like Hell. This played when Bernadine, who was played by Angela Bassett, meets James Wheeler, who was played by Wesley Snipes. And that's during the scene when she is pursuing her divorce. And they meet at the bar and they're talking and all that good stuff, which, I mean, it couldn't be even more fitting. You're in the middle of your divorce, for God's sakes. And that song is perfect. That's playing in the background. And what's so interesting about that song is that it comes back around again in Bernadine's life when her and James part ways, and she's like back at home and he sends her a letter and she's reading his letter and you can hear it playing in the background again. So it's kind of like one of those songs that was made for Bernadine's character, and it's going to be also a part of her liberation in a sense, because she eventually gets over it, gets a little city girl cut, and then, she's good to go after that. So the song is definitely important because it highlights the things that are like literally piercing these women right in the heart every single time. It's like they all have their own signature songs that as soon as you hear it, you think of that character, especially if you're going to break it down with the movie. It's like you hear a certain song, you're like, yep, that's Bernadine's song. That's Bernie's song right there. So it's Aretha Franklin. It's like when you hear it, you got to shut up and listen when Aretha Franklin is singing. It's definitely a song that'll put you in your feelings for sure because of her delivery and how she's singing it. You are going after a while. You are probably gonna be ugly crying after a while as the song is going. Especially if you're going through something when you hear that song. It's one of those that's gonna take you there emotionally.
Yeah. For me, this is as I explained earlier. This whole movie goes. I think about my mom and dad, their divorce. This is the song. This is the song here. Whenever I hear it, I see a picture of my mom, and I always think about the hurt that she didn't show it to me. You know, I don't know. But I hear it. I just picture a silhouette of my mom, and I just picture the song always playing, and it goes together. It hurt. If you think about the word hell, you think about hurt. If something hurts like hell, that means that almost cursed, but it hurts. It hurts.
That's a nice alliteration there. Hurt.
It hurts. Yeah, it hurts. So this is probably, man, it's up there. It's top 5 for me. I can tell you that. But again, you can't deliver. I don't think you can deliver this song better with other than having Aretha sing it, because I can't unhear Aretha now. I can't unhear Tony from Let It Flow. So again, he picked the right person to sing the song, to express the words that he wrote down. So kudos to Aretha Franklin, RIP as well. And
kudos to the sound engineer or whoever was responsible for putting the music at certain parts. Because you mentioned Bernie. What about Wesley's situation? Like, it hurt like hell for him too. He's in love with the, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, like
he's dying from cancer and all that
exactly.
stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, and this is the first example on the album. Like I said, I had the soundtrack before the movie was released, and I kept skipping. Like, I basically would play number 1, number 2, number 3, and I would skip down to like a TLC track, right? Number 6. And it Brandy, that was it. I would skip Aretha. Like, I'm like, what is this? What I don't know, but like at the time I was a 3rd grader. Aretha was like too like past my time, right? This was the first example of me watching the movie, and I'm like, what song is that? That's not on the soundtrack. And I had to go back, and now I play it every time. Like, I basically listen to those top 5 tracks like back to back to back before I start getting in my skipping bag a little bit. But yeah, like a lot of pain, a lot of hurt. It's the second song on the album with the word hurt in it, and it's the one that hurts the most. So quality song, quality artist.
Good one. All right, here we go. Number 5, Sitting Up in My Room, Brandy.
All right. So this song plays when Savannah, played by Whitney Houston, arrives to the New Year's Eve party at the in the beginning of the movie. So it's a fun upbeat song, which I think is good for balance of the tone of the album itself. It kind of gives you a break from crying. So it's just kind of like, okay, well, you know, there are some silver linings in this movie. Okay. I mean, granted, Savannah kind of had a moment in the New Year's Eve scene anyway, when she met Lionel and how all that stuff went down. But aside from that, it was a good opening, especially with, you know, Brandy and her tone, her vocal tone. It was nice to know that also Brandy was among a lot of vocal heavy hitters at that. Don't get me wrong. She is presently today known as the vocal Bible. So that says a lot as well, too. But that she, you know, she's up there with the likes of Chaka Khan, Aretha Franklin, and Whitney Houston, and holding her own with that song on that album. And that song is so infectious all the way around. So I did love the fact that she was included in that. I want to say she probably was like the youngest on the soundtrack too, of all the people. So that speaks volumes as well too about her talent. And then again, I like the change of pace with adding an upbeat song to something of an album that is kind of a little bit more serious and more mature.
Yeah. And coming back off of that, I totally agree. It was a change. Once you go 1, 2, 3, 4, you're like, man, well, it's crazy.
Right.
Then number 5, you like, okay, I hear that bass. And that's, again, I go back to the music side. The bass the plucking of that bass on this song, it really it's the highlight of the song for me. But although Brandy is not that strong singer like a Whitney, like an Aretha, she doesn't have that strong voice. Her voice was mature enough to be on par, to have her song on par. Because it was either, if you wanted to have a young singer at that time, it would either be her or it would have been Monica. So for him to go with Brandy, we see them two work again on Cinderella, but to see Brandy's song on this album and probably on a lot of people's top 3 choices, top 5, top 3, that says something. So again, good job, Brandy, and good job for Babyface for, again, meshing his song and picking the right person to do justice to it.
Yeah, and for me, I just remember at the time, Brandy was, I remember, this is just me, I just remember Brandy being more, at least in my household, more popular than Monica. And it was like the magazines we used to get, we used to read articles and stuff like that. And they were already like crowning her the next Whitney Houston. So I feel like it was a logical choice to include her in this album, because she was basically trying to mirror Whitney's footsteps. I think even from the same record label. I got to double check. I think both of them were on Arista. I'm not sure. We'll fact check that. But yeah, this was the song that I would skip to. Like this was one of the ones where it was like, I was younger. I look back, there should be no reason a third grader wants to watch Waiting to Excel. A male third grader shouldn't want to watch it because it's a female-led cast.
Yeah.
And I know about Babyface, but there was no reason that they should have. I wasn't the target audience for this. But the way they positioned their soundtracks, it was like, hey, Brandy's on it. This was like the go-to for my age group. That's the reason people wanted to see the movie. It was for Whitney, and I think she was the second artist. It was pulling a lot of kids because this, once again, this isn't the target demographic that you're going after. And then also, I do think it was strategic the way Babyface had her, not that she mumbling, but it sounded like she pissed off, like she legit sitting up in her room and like she pissed. So the way she sings, I think she holds back vocally, and I think that's by design. I think that was like Babyface's choice to be like, nah, you're gonna be pissed. I want you to, the lyrics need to come out like this. And that bass go hard. When I think of this song, I automatically think of the music video and everything. Yeah. So I love it. One of my favorite songs on the album, and it's Brandy. It just reminds me a lot of my childhood.
Yeah, and I just checked, Barry. Brandy was on Atlantic.
All right, there we go. It started with an A. I knew that.
Yeah.
All
right. Number 6. This Is How It Works, TLC.
Okay, this is during the scene when Robin, played by Layla Rashawn, gets a visit from Russell, who's played by Leon. And this is one of a few visits he makes. And this is kind of where she has her, I guess, breaking point in terms of, can I really trust him? Is he, is it one of those things where it's worth getting, involved in him, with him? I'm not gonna lie, this is skippable for me. It's not really one of my favorites on the album. However, I do like the tone of the song and the way it's placed in the movie, because it does kind of sound kind of sneaky, especially since she already thinks that Russell is sneaking anyway, even though he's a married man, but whatever.
Shout out to Russell.
Right. It does kind of give the sneaky vibes. And just the tension in the scene while the song is playing as well. It's like the engineer, he has different moments where he'll bring the sound in and then drag it out on certain moments when the actors are interacting with each other. So it definitely plays well with the scene in the movie. Again, it's something that I skip. Personally, it's not my favorite song, but it works for the film's sake.
Yeah. TLC, you had to feature them. They were the hot group. We can include SWV and Escape, but this was the hot group right now. So you got to put them on. You have to put them on a soundtrack because of, obviously who they were. It's not one of my favorite songs. It would probably be, if it's, we got 16 songs, it would be definitely in the bottom 3. It's not just one of the ones I care to listen to. But again, it is an skippable song because you don't have to skip it. But it doesn't really do anything to me, doesn't, or whatever. So, I really don't have too much to say about this one.
All right, so and I'll push and I say skip. All right, so listen.
Yeah.
When I first got the album, because of the name sake, I jumped to this track, and I remember playing it out. And when I watched the movie, it just wasn't memorable. And as I grow older, I'm like, I used to rock with that song, and I don't like this song. Not that I skip this song every time I hear it. So it's not that. I understand this is a great album to where every song is good and I can understand why people like it. For me, this is far from the movie's theme. And we just talked about sitting up in my room because of the lyrics and the content of that song. It at least ties in with the movie. I just feel like I'm not rocking with this one hard. So I don't got a lot to say either. I skip this. I'll be skipping this.
Yep. All right, here we go. Number 7, Not Gonna Cry, Mary J.
Okay, so this one was played when Bernadine was holding a yard sale for all of her husband's things.
Are we positive? And the reason I'm asking that, I'm sorry to interrupt, because what scene does everybody think this plays on? Coco, you had to fact check me the other day.
They think it's being played with the infamous burning of the car and she's taking all the clothes out. They think, and that's only because the music video takes so much of that scene.
Yes.
To the music video.
Yes.
It's actually, and the crazy thing about it is, after that scene, you never hear that song again. You barely hear it if you're not paying attention to it. Which I just watched that movie so many times. That's how I knew it was in that scene. But you barely hear it. You hear it a little bit in the background, but like all the vocals and everything we love about it, you don't hear it in the movie at all. And it's not one of those songs that comes back and gets repeated again, like, Shoop and everything like that. It's literally, it just comes and goes, which is so crazy for how that song is for the Black female culture. And the fact, of course, and Mary J. Blige and all that. And at that point, Mary J. Blige, that song just kind of just took her to a whole nother level, especially even with her looks in the video and just like everything about it was just like Black culture. It was just like, hey, this is for us. Like this is for us. That song was perfect for that scene because it was a liberating moment for Bernadine. She was selling all this stuff. She'd come to terms with it. So much so, like, her kids, I think they accidentally broke something in the scene, and they thought they were gonna get in trouble, and she just laughed about it. She was like, "Oh, okay, whatever. It's trash." Dude comes over with skis, and he's like, "How much is $1? $1?" And he's like, "Yeah, cool, take it, cool." So it was a great moment for Bernadine, and it's just one of the things. I'm not gonna cry. Like, it's done. That's it.
We'll get to some other semantics later, but not gonna cry. This put Mary J to the forefront. This was the one. It's funny because I was also one of those ones who thought that this song played during the infamous car burning scene, and the guy came, and if you put all that together. Look at the music video, look at when she was selling his stuff, the song, everything. Like you said, this was her moment to where it was that exhale, I guess, for the most part, if we want to say it. This was her F you, and I'm going to show you I'm bossing up. I'm going to show you you want to play, I'm going to play as well. And again, Babyface, how did he know to pick Mary J for this song? Like, the man has an ear, he has an eye, he has an understanding, and add in some luck to go with it, because she did the song justice. And if I'm thinking about any other person who could have sang this song, I can't think of one now because it's her. This is her song. It's nobody else's song. This is her song. So we've heard renditions that other people have taken and have done justice to songs, but no one will ever be able to do this song ever again. It's hers.
I'm curious her age at the time of this release because of this song, I just always saw her as an older individual, but she's not too far from the younger folks on the album. So this is definitely auntie music, mama music, right? Mm-hmm. And what I was like Bill, like I was caught in the argument and I just put my flag in the ground and said, this happened during the infamous bleaching scene. And I got my car pulled, like, no, it didn't. And I had to remember, it's hard to separate the album from the movie because we keep tying everything together. So I'll just focus on the music video. The music video is that iconic. This song to me has actually graduated from the soundtrack to where it's just become a traditional breakup song, a traditional, divorce song, a traditional, not gonna cry. The lyrics itself, like even being a young buck, I heard the lyrics to this song. Like Mary J. Blige, make sure you heard every word. Like when I think of the video, I think of the Cam Newton ensemble,
Yep.
So yeah, definitely strong video, strong song. And this is one of the few songs where if I think about this song, I'm not actually going to go to the movie as a go-to. Like this song exists outside of that atmosphere. Yeah, that stratosphere.
Yeah. And Barry, she was 24.
Bro, she too young to be singing music like that.
Hey, bro.
Like, that's what. Come on, man. Like
she has that soul, bro. And you got to think that's when she, because you got to think her album that dropped with this song on it, that album
that's the Mary J. Blige that we know now. She was not that person prior to the soundtrack. Is what you know what I mean?
Unfortunately, that is when she became Auntie Mary. I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
Don't want to be Auntie Mary, but that's when
you auntie. Stop
at
playing.
24. At 24. Let's think about that. At 24. All right, number 8. We got My Funny Valentine featuring Chaka Khan.
Okay, this was during the scene where Savannah, Whitney Houston's character, is this is, I guess, the first night she's spending with Lionel. And this is pretty much a sex scene. This is the scene that they covered your eyes when this was going on and all that stuff because it was low key kind of graphic at my age to see something like that. It's interesting because the song itself has been re-sang so many times. The first time the song has ever been sang was back in 1937 on Broadway. So there's so many different renditions of the song. This is just having Chaka Khan be someone to bless this song. It's just like, what more can you ask for? So it's interesting because the song itself, it's like, it's a love song, but it's kind of not. It's one of those things where it's just like, I'm really fond of you, flaws and all. And it's interesting because in that scene, Lionel is very flawed in a lot of ways. And Savannah is struggling with if she really wants to take it to the next level with him because there's just so many red flags about him. Like she narrates it and then you can even see it while the scene is going on that like Lionel is just possibly absolutely nuts. So the song was actually kind of perfect for that scene and how it was going on. And I'm here for all things Chaka Khan. So it's one of my favorites. I'm not sure if it's on my top 5, but it's definitely on a list of songs I would not skip. But it's definitely it's Chaka Khan. There's not much you can say in opposition to Chaka Khan.
Yeah, and I'm a jazz guy. I love jazz. I love My Funny Valentine. It's just a jazz standard that, like you stated, everybody has remade. Anybody who's jazz has remade this song or did their own rendition of it. I remember Babyface speaking about this song. He stated that he's not a jazz guy. He plays the piano, but he's not a pianist, like a jazz pianist. So she wanted him to keep the undertone of jazz with the song. So as you can hear the song, it is still jazz, but in R&B more. It's more R&B than it is jazz. So he had to deconstruct the song and build it back up, but still keep it as a jazz standard. We all know that Chaka ventured into jazz many a times, and she has the voice to do it. Again, I'm a jazz guy, so it's probably in the middle range for me right now, if I had to rank all the songs from 1 to 16. But, again, Chaka Khan, can't say any more about her. Icon.
Yeah. Chaka Khan, big fan. That's the homie. Shout out to Chaka. When I think of My Funny Valentine, there's 2 renditions I think of. I think of this, and I think of Kyle from In Living Single. So I just remember me even understanding that Living Single episode because I understood the song from this album. And then with this I remember going through the playlist, and I used to always just read the credits. That's when they used to put lyrics and credits on all the album, the back of the album covers. And this was like the one thing that, okay, Babyface wasn't getting full credit on. So even at that age, I didn't understand that he didn't write everything, but I just knew this song was different and unique on the album. And for him to put it on there, definitely some respect there. And it's the middle of the pack for me. I think it's it's elevated mainly because of my fondness for Chaka. So great addition to an already strong album.
Yep. All right, number 9, And I Gave My Love to You, Sonia Marie.
This is another one that was incorporated in a sex scene. This is the first night with Robin, played by Layla Rashawn, and Michael, that's his name. Michael, played by Wendell Davis, I believe is his name. It's interesting that they selected that song for that scene. Personally, I don't think it meshes well, in my opinion, but it's a sexy song, which complements Layla Rashawn's look in that scene. Like, everybody wanted those teddies that she had on. They wanted the lingerie set. Like, Mama looked amazing in that scene. So it was like, okay, the sexy song that's playing in the background distracted you from who her partner was that night. And then everything else that was just awkward leading up to it just kind of was like, okay, focus on the music and focus on Layla. Focus on the music, focus on Layla. Scene aside, I would definitely say the song, I like the subtlety of it. I can hear it being played in like a spa or somewhere like a ladies department store or something like that. It's nice. It's quaint, especially with the piano harmonies that's in the background of that song. So I like it. There's a great mix of balances as far as the instrumentation that's used in the soundtrack and the vocalists that are used in the soundtrack. So it kind of gives, for the dainty, really cute girls, there's a little song for that. We want to do a little cute little 2-step or something like that. So it's cute.
Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, isn't there some spoken word going on in this song?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So she actually has writing credit on this song. And I think it's because of the spoken word that she did in this song. And if I'm not mistaken, Shantae Moore sang as well on this song in the background vocals. I do believe Babyface stated that when he did the 25th anniversary, his special for this song. Cool song. Kind of reminds me of the beach. I think of water for some reason when I hear this song. I can kind of hear waves, crashing and so forth. It's funny now that you mentioned where the song was played at, because I just remember when Michael, the dancing, when he came out and did his whole move, 2-step dancing and everything. And then Dog tried the Sonner afterwards, though. Dog tried the big boy, but it's a cool song. It's a cool song.
What's funny about this song? It's a good song, right? But I think it gets penalized because of the spot that it's in the movie for. I don't think I think people hear this song and they automatically think of that scene, and it's so a verse like Coco said, to where it just doesn't fit. It probably fits Leela's vibe, but not necessarily Mike's. And it's like I had to re-listen to this album before we did this, and I was like, oh, I forgot the song is actually pretty sexy, but I don't know why I get like a comical feel from it. Because of the scene. And I actually didn't remember what scene it came from until Coco said it. I'm like, that's why I kind of this was one of the songs on the album, mainly because I don't know, it is a mature song, and this is one of the ones I would traditionally skip. And when I listened to it last time, I'm like, this song just basically, it was like pulling straws, and this one got the shortest straw. It's at a scene in the movie where you can't take the song serious, in my opinion. So yeah, once again, all of these songs are strong. It's just this may fall on the bottom of the totem pole for me. One of the bottom of the totem pole. So next up.
All right. Number 10, excuse me. All Night Long, SWV.
This song was played during Robin and Russell's first interaction. We first see them reuniting for the first time. And it sucks because you try to listen to the album and you try to put it with the music and with the movie parts or the movie scenes. And it's just like, dang, they already played the song where she was mad at Russell in the beginning of the album. And we got to come back and remember why, she was in love with him to begin with. It definitely fit the scene because you can tell that, like, just by looking at them, they're a very sexy couple. Just both of them together, they look good on scene together on camera. And then that song playing in the background, it was perfect for what was happening and what was going on. And it kind of lets you take your mind elsewhere and kind of forget the fact. I don't think at that point we knew Russell's backstory as far as him being a married man, but we did know that this was somebody that Robin truly had a Jones for. And this person made her really giddy. And it was a difference from Michael. So I like it. I like the way SWV sounds on the track. It sounds really good with their tone, especially because it's kind of hard to get Coco to bring it down sometimes. Like Coco will take you there, but I definitely like it. It fits in very well. I do think it's a sleeper track. I think a lot of people skim over it and don't really notice it sometimes. Probably because it's a slow song and a slow song for SWV. And it's like, if it's not weak, people don't really associate slow songs with SWV. Like we only know them for weak, or we want to only know them for weak, but it's like, no, they got other slow songs, other ballads that they do. So, but it's one of my favorites. I definitely like it.
Yeah, definitely one of my favorites. This is honestly one of my top songs on the album. Coco's voice resonates all throughout the song. And when she's about to go off, you'll hear it. Just like Wanya, when he's about to go off and does his runs, you can hear the buildup. So you can hear it with her, and her voice is very strong and very powerful. And I think she's a very underrated singer, vocalist. Girl can sing. But again, they brought in one of the top two female groups to come in and bring this song in. He paired this song with the group very well. Again, like you said, slow song, but very, very good song.
I love the song. I grew up loving it. I just remember this was SWV was a popular group to where this is one of the ones that we fast forwarded to when we first got the soundtrack. And as I've gotten older, I've grown to understand it more. And Babyface, this is the reason I respect his pen. Like he has a creative way and an innocent way of explaining love making that I think is second to none. And if you listen to the lyrics of this song, it's very creative on what they're discussing. So I won't get too much into detail, but this is one of my favorites on the album. And I know we're going to get a chance to talk about that later, but I love this song. Actually, I do a lot of editing with my free time, and even times I'm not free. I typically, whenever I'm editing visuals, I just put on playlists. this is one of my go-tos every time I'm editing. So I probably have listened to this song the most on the album.
All right. Jumping into number 11, Way You by Shantae Moore.
This is the opening sequence song. It is the main song that's played in the beginning as you hear all the different ladies kind of narrate different points in their lives and things that's going on in their lives. And this is the opening credit scene. Yep. That song is playing in the background. Shantae Moore, her voice is next level. So it was nice to have her on that album as well as with all the other vocal heavy hitters on the album. I like how soothing her voice is on the song. It goes really well with the instrumental of the song that's included on there, which I know is probably hard for her sometimes to scale back because she's another one that likes to go over the top if she's not doing that, or her screamer note or her whistle note, excuse me. So it was nice to hear her on the soundtrack. Again, that it was a good opening sequence song because it wasn't assumed. Like, it wasn't like, you heard, because the opening track was Shoop, and like, you're going to think, okay, we're going to hear that song first. It's going to be the opening song. It's like, nope, we're going to take it in a whole nother different direction. So it was one of those things where it's like, okay, well, it sounds like elevator music a little bit, but like Black people elevator music. So it was kind of a good opening track to add to the montage of everything that was already going on with the credits and the different pictures and videos and everything like that. So I like it.
Mm-hmm. I don't think it, again, great song, which is funny because it's more on the back side of the album when you look at it, but it's the first song you hear in the movie. So there's like you said, that was a good play on introducing us, to the soundtrack, or a song that which would be featured on the soundtrack, but on the back end of the soundtrack. Because I won't tell them age, this was on tape for me, not CD. So, so that's when you had to really open up that little album cover. And then when you had to put it back, you had to fold it back the right way so it come up in that little crevice. But again, Shantae good, man. She's a good singer, good vocalist. The song matches her voice, soothing. It's not anything that she had to overpower. She had to bring any kind of big kind of soul to it. Very nice, somber song. But again, a good song to open the movie off with, though.
Yeah, and for me, once again, I'm right there with you, Bill. I thought I was being descriptive when I said fast forward. Now we had to stop fast forward to get to some of these tracks. I had to tape as well. And I'll be honest with this track, I don't know if I've heard it outside of the movie enough. Like I traditionally hear this on the movie. Yeah. Not on the actual album. This is one of the ones that I skip a little bit to where. Yeah, I just don't. I love Shantae Moore. This is probably towards the bottom end of my ranking when it comes to the album. And yeah, it sounds like we're all aligned with that.
Yeah. All right, here we go. This is another one for me. Number 12, My Love, Sweet Love by the great Patti LaBelle.
All right. This was the scene where Gloria's ex-husband came into town to see Tariq and also simultaneously came out as gay. It sucks because, if you pay attention and, you listen to what's being said in the scenes, like they kind of have like a sneaky link relationship type situation. And she thought that it was going to be the same thing. And ex-husband was like, no, ma'am. So, that song always kind of sucks for me because I felt so bad for Gloria. So I can't listen to that song and not think about how like her feelings were just shattered. Because she's already also dealing with the struggle of thinking that, okay, she's not attractive because she's overweight. And she's so much so that she feels like, dang, you went that far. Like, you don't want to even like touch me so much that you went and said that you were gay. Like, you could have just said like, dang, like, you're just big, but like it wasn't even that. He literally was coming out. So I can't not associate that song with that scene. even though Patti LaBelle, greatest of all time,
Yeah.
it's just an unfortunate pairing.
You know, and as you were talking, the whole scene was just playing through my head. Like I'm sitting here, like just that crushed feeling, like, dang man, like you're rooting for her.
It's exactly.
You're
for her.
You're rooting for her the entire movie. Like, of course, you got Whitney in her situation, Bernie in her situation, Layla Rashawn in her situation, but the one that I was rooting for was her, Loretta Devine, because she's just so motherly, and you know, she's the only one who had the child, and she seems like she was the oldest one in the whole group. But you can tell she was just a good-spirited, kind-hearted woman. And when you hear the song, I'm trying to give you all of this love, and you're bouncing it off. And like you said, you're gonna just say you're gay not to be with me tonight. No, dude, like he's telling like I'm really gay. I'm really gay. But Patti LaBelle, man, what she's an icon, she's a songstress. She's gonna sit on the Mount Rushmore of, our female singers, and what else can you say about this song? It's one of my top ones too. That's sitting in the top.
And what's funny is I used to skip this one a lot. And I always remember the scene until the IG anniversary performance by Babyface. And I remember when me and Bill were talking, you actually kind of sold me on this one, Bill. We left movie scenes out of it, but when you kind of told me what this song meant to you, I was like, really? I said, I don't think of that, but all right, I'll go back and listen. And since then, I've kind of like over the last, it's been a year and a half or like a year?
Less than a year? Last February.
All right, cool. So since then, this song has kind of grown on me. Before that, it was not in my rotation. It was one of the ones that I would skip. Like you said, I can't help but think of the movie scene where you feel sorry for her. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of tough. You know what I mean? And then I also, I guess I grew up in a house where my parents were divorced. That situation didn't happen, but I remember how after that scene, she goes back to like basically badmouth the dad to the son or whatever. So I was sensitive when it comes to like mothers, like criminalizing fathers or whatever. So this was one of the songs I didn't care for on the movie because it just brought up like bad memories and stuff like that. But when you listen to the lyrics, it's actually a beautiful song. So it's so I try to separate this from the movie going forward. And it's Patti LaBelle, it's Mrs. Wayne, Mrs. Dwayne Wayne. So her voice is like butter. So
all right, 13 coming to the end. Another heavy hitter, Kissing You, Faith Evans.
So this one was during the scene where Savannah and Kenneth, aka the Allstate guy, where they had sex pretty much, but they essentially were making love. Like they made that whole scene. They were just like, look, I know we gave y'all sex with the other girls, but no, they making love right here. Faith Evans, she honestly, to me, I'm a personal fan. She could do no wrong to me. So I thought she sounded absolutely beautiful on the song. She vocally carried the entire song very well. It was super fitting. It was subtle but sexy, but also it put you in your feelings as well, especially if there was somebody you really were caring about at the moment, or you were enamored with someone at the time. That song was just like perfect to play in the background. And I think the opening line is I can't believe it's real or something like that. And it's crazy because it was like, if you think about or if you pay attention to like the history of Savannah and Kenneth, it's just like, wow, they're finally getting their moment and all of that stuff. So movie aside, it's a beautiful song. Faith Evans, again, another vocal powerhouse as well in her own right. So definitely on my top list of songs.
Absolute vocal powerhouse. If I'm not mistaken, her first album dropped the same year. I believe her album dropped in 1995, her first album, along with this album. So, man, think about, you got your first album coming out off of that Bad Boy record label, and then now you're in one of the top movies, along with some other great vocalists. You're carrying your own, and you're doing it. So kudos to her. Kudos to a great song. Way to show how strong you can sing as well. Because if you go into the history of songstress, she's right there with all of them. Now it's a few more, but she is one of those ones who really can sing.
And I'm glad you brought up that fact, Bill, because I was just always confused about the placement of the song. Because when we look at her now, she's one of those aunties that we think of like a Mary J. Blige, but it also looks like you had to flip the cassette to get to her. And I was always just confused, like, why did they place her here? I don't know. She probably got some beef with somebody, but you just mentioned it. She was a new artist. So I forget that looking back. I'm like, I never understood the placement. Definitely a sexy song. One of the sexiest songs on the album. It is Faith Evans. I feel like she's that similar tier to like a Mary J. Blige, the aunties of the world. So she can't do no wrong for me either. And yeah, just strong song, memorable scene, even though Allstate was wildin'. But yeah, like tight song, tight work.
Number 14, Love Will Be Waiting at Home for Real by the group.
So I have a hard time recalling where this scene where this song came in. I want to say it's like very subtle during the scene when Tariq is trying to ask his mom to go out for New Year's Eve. The only reason why I'm associating it with that is just because Babyface has been quoted stating that that song was written for her. Because she just all she wants to do is fall in love. Like that song was written for Gloria's character. So that's kind of why I'm trying to associate it with the scene with her. But I think the other struggle that I'm having with it is that song also appears on the Two Can Play That Game soundtrack as well. So that's why it's a struggle for me, which says a lot about that song for it to be used multiple times on dating, specifically, highly woman-led or woman-lead casted movies. So I definitely say that struck out for me. As soon as, like, when I was looking it up, I was like, why does this song sound so familiar? And I know more of that song because of Two Can Play That Game versus Waiting to Exhale, again, because it's played very subtle. It's another one of those songs that it's on the soundtrack, but they play it very, very, very low in a certain scene. I think that probably the main thing that just resonates to me is the fact that Babyface did say that song is for Gloria's character, and just think about the lyrics and what Gloria literally goes through in the entire freaking movie. So it's a song that if it's playing, I won't like rush to go skip it, but I'm not actively paying attention to it while it's on. It's kind of like, oh, okay, well, that song's on, and I just kind of keep it moving. It's not something I skip, but it's not something I'm rushing to as soon as I turn on the soundtrack.
Yeah, and as I watched the Babyface special a few days ago, and I was watching it, he definitely did say that this song was written for Gloria. Again, I don't know. I'm going to just let us know where it was located at. If it's not there, I would think that it was with her and the Gregory Hines character somewhere. So it's wherever it was placed, it's played around
Gloria
her.
Related.
It's Gloria related.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know too much about the group for real. I don't know if they had any other hits or anything, but for him to put them on this album when you still had a few other groups like the Brownstones and Jade and Escape, for him to get this group, he had to hear something prior to pull them in. So they did the song justice. They didn't do a bad job with the song. I like it. Nice. It's a nice, smooth song. One of the ones probably still in that bottom tier for me. I don't have to listen to it, but I'm not skipping it if I hear it. So good song.
I'm a little bit more trigger happy than both of you guys, to where it sounds like it just like you, Bill, it's on my bottom tier. Where Coco says she'll let it play, I typically skip this one. I don't remember what scene it came from, but don't know a lot about For Real. But I think some of the newer artists on the back, they didn't have the same. It's tough you have a tough act to follow. You put all of these new artists after some of these legends like Patti LaBelle. So I'm taking it away from the movie and telling you how I heard the album. It was like, okay, For Real, who are they? What part of the movie this is in? I don't remember. So I typically would just stop, fast forward, and wait till they get to the next track. Speaking of next track.
Speaking of next tracks, number 15, How Could You Call Her Baby by Shawnna. Or Shannon.
So this scene was when the ladies were out for, I guess, happy hour or ladies' night at the club, and Robin sees Michael walk in with another woman. Okay. And, you know, homegirls just, we go, listen, we riding for you or not? But then Bernie, who doesn't read the room, did you see Michael? Girl, Michael who? So it was that moment. And of course, the name of the song is so fitting, like, hello, like, dang, we were just talking about give me a house in Scottsdale, and I want babies, and I want this, and then all of a sudden, like, now you're walking in with somebody else, and you playing me like I'm not me type situation. So I definitely, that's another song that I associate with the scene. I'm like, dang, did my girl real dirty. Outside of the movie, honestly, I haven't listened to the song or gone out my way to listen to the song. It's just yet another song that I associate with the movie. If I'm not watching the movie, I'm not really checking for the song like that. Yeah. But that's pretty much as far as it goes for me with that song.
Definitely a soundtrack song. It doesn't stand out. It doesn't, it's not a song you're gonna play just to play. But again, I don't know too much about her either. I don't know any other songs that she sang. But again, she didn't do the song bad. She didn't sing it badly or anything like that. Do I have to skip it? No. Do I want to skip it? It depends. Actually, it's at the bottom list, so it's getting ready to go off anyway. So I'm just gonna let it play. But again, when they were in the club, did she take a shot and call him a fat beep?
Yes.
So
little fat. Yes.
That's what I remember. So
I see how y'all feel, because I skipped some of y'all songs, and I actually like this song. So to hear Bill, I rock with it. For some reason, I know all the words.
Okay.
All right. I was like playing this. Remember, I had to research these songs before, and I was like, wait, do I know this song? And the song playing, and Bill, I'm singing every word. How do I know all the words? So my sister used to play certain songs, not exclusive to this album. My sister knows how to sing, so she would practice her runs on certain songs. This is one of them. So I've heard this song a lot. I was just singing. I'm like, how do I know all the lyrics to this song? And I haven't heard about it in a long time. I actually rock with the song. Just like you guys, it's not on my playlist, but when I hear the beginning and I start singing along, I'm like, okay, I like this song. So I rock with it. It's still part of the bottom tier. So make no mistake. I just like it a little bit more than Bill, who just like pounced on it just now. But so going on, last track.
All right. And number 16, we are at the conclusion. Count on Me, Whitney Houston and the great CeCe Winans.
This one is pretty self-explanatory. It is the homegirl anthem. It's played at the very end of the movie after the ladies do a New Year's Eve countdown. It's so interesting. The movie starts at New Year's Eve and ends at New Year's Eve. So that we literally are dealing with everything that they have going on throughout the entire sequence. It's one of those songs that if you really are having a true homegirl moment and you're just, I really love y'all. That's crazy. I really love y'all. You play that song in the background. Both having Whitney Houston and CeCe Winans on one track together, it's like when we got Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey on a track together, it's just like, who pulled what strings to get this to happen. And I could imagine what that studio session was like, just to be the person watching it happen in the studio. The lyrics were just so like, it was so touching to your spirit, especially when you come out of just watching what these women went through, and the fact that they had each other the entire time as they were going through everything that they were going through. And the song, the title of the song, Count on Me, it's like, you know, everything that all of them were going through, they had each other every step of the way. So it's a great song. However, it's not on my top list, but it's fabulous vocally. It's great production wise. I love the message behind it. I can and can't sometimes, depending on my mood. I can't sometimes separate it from the movie, but then sometimes I can. It just depends where I am when I'm listening to it. Honestly, it's weird like that for me, but it was a perfect ending. It was a perfect song to end the soundtrack, perfect song to end the movie. Overall, like you already said, Bill, like Babyface has that ear and he just knows how to arrange music in a way that tells a story.
Yeah. Again, it's how else can you end a movie and the soundtrack? You ended both of them perfectly with Count on Me. And with that being said, that song just shows how strong the song emulates their friendship, the strength of their friendship. If, like you said, if the friendship was a song, that's a song that goes with it. No matter what happened, everybody was with everyone, and they all kept each other within the arm's reach. And you know, again, is it one of my favorites? No, but I mean, if you're listening at the soundtrack, you know you're at the very end, and most likely you may hit your repeat and listen at the whole soundtrack again. But great way to end the soundtrack.
Coco mentioned that sometimes she can't separate it from the movie, but I don't think of the movie when I hear the song. I just remember being part of like step teams, drill teams when I was in elementary school, and there were like 3 go-to songs they would always make us sing. It started off with Greatest Love of All, and then we moved on to Hero by Mariah Carey. This song took over. I just remember that every time we had like a rally or something, we had to teach everybody the words to Count on Me. So it's a very inspirational track. It's easy for kids to sing along to. So once again, we're talking about the soundtrack, not the movie. So this is the one where I'm like, I think of the fireworks scene, got it, but I also think of inspirational music that you typically teach kids. And it's I feel like in the gospel sector too, this is kind of like, it like tiptoes that line or whatever, to where I've constantly heard this throughout my lifetime. And it's always being introduced to a new group of kids. So once again, not necessarily my favorite track, but I'd be remiss if I didn't admit that this is a big track on the album.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
And,
so
you know, that Winans family they're big in gospel. So
yeah. And it's because of features like this where they've been able to kind of get that somewhat pop culture, cult culture success, you know. So hey, let's actually we listed all these songs, Bill.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and
here we go.
Let's break them up into 3 brackets. Let's mention the biggest song. What's the biggest song on the album? And I'm gonna let you give your definition for that. Or actually, let us come up with our own definition of what we mean, because I think some of us may vary on what that meaning is. Most important song, right?
Yep.
And then our personal favorite song.
All right.
You want to start off and then give your kind of justification?
Yeah, I start off. Biggest song, biggest accolades, most played, just biggest song, right? I think we probably will all agree on what the biggest means. But for me, the biggest song on this album is Excel. Shoot, it's the biggest one. It won it won the Grammy. It was Whitney Houston. It's the biggest song.
Next.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, let's do it that way. All right, yeah, biggest
Go ahead,
song for
Coco.
all three of us.
Yeah, go. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Biggest, I agree. I think it's one of those songs, if you played like a reverse version of song association and you just say Waiting to Exhale, that's the first song people are going to say. Like it's just because it's just like programmed to associate it with that. Again, accolades, everything, that it's the biggest song. When you think about Waiting to Exhale, you think about that song.
Yeah.
It was the first single on the album to where a lot of the units, it ended up doing 12 mil. It was because of this record. It won the Grammy. I agree. The biggest song, just because of the history attached to it, is Shoot. Yep. Whitney Houston factor. So
yep.
Most important.
Biggest does not mean most important. Most important to me, meaning you had to have it, but it changed a lot, and it did a lot. And for me, Not Gonna Cry. That was the turning point of the movie. She's not crying anymore. She's done. And what that song was the one that did it for Mary J. This was the song. Babyface even stated it. This was the one that pushed her over. She was straddling the fence. This pushed her over the fence to where now I'm with you guys. I have my one song. I have the song that can sit with the rest of you guys. I think this is the most important song on the album.
Okay, so we've already previously had this conversation, the three of us.
And also, Coco, to be fair, if you disagree with the use or definition of most important, feel free to explain your definition as well.
Gotcha. As I stated to you all in the past, it always depends on who you ask. It depends on who you ask. It depends on the context of the conversation. It just depends on a lot of different factors. But if you are asking me, the most important song to that soundtrack goes again to Waiting to Exhale's signature song, Shoot. It is the most important song, period. Now, we're talking about the Waiting to Exhale soundtrack, and one of you, I believe it was you, Barry, said earlier, you don't even think of the movie when you hear Not Gonna Cry. You can see it for itself, totally separated from it. So if we're talking, what is the most important song to the Waiting to Exhale soundtrack, and you blatantly said you don't even think of Waiting to Exhale when that song comes on, how does that even make it the most important song to the soundtrack? So again, going back to how what I think is the most important song, it is the song that, again, if you play a reverse version of song association, when you hear it, if you go and literally walk into a crowd of people and you say Waiting to Exhale, first song you think of, they're not going to say Not Gonna Cry. They're not. But I also did say, depending on who you ask, if you ask a group of Black women, they're going to say Not Gonna Cry based on where they were in their life, especially when they heard the song. Not Gonna Cry started hitting different for me in high school, because at the time, that song played while my mom was going through a divorce. And at the same exact time, my mom was with my dad at the time 11 years. And then that lyric came up 11 years. Mom, you wrote a song about you. That's crazy.
Most important.
That song resonated with me moving forward from there. But Waiting to Exhale was not the thing that was on my mind when that came on. It was, this is something we're going through in our family. This song resonates. And because that it matched so well with what I was going through at the time, that song was important to that era in my life at that time, but it had nothing to do with Waiting to Exhale soundtrack, the movie, or anything like that. Most important to the soundtrack is Shoot, period.
All right, so just for clarity, while I'm speaking, Bill, could you clarify if it's Not Gonna Cry? It's only on the soundtrack, right? It's not on Mary J's.
No, it is. It is on her. What album is that? It's her third album. It's on her third album. All
right. So the way wait. Ain't no
Waiting to Exhale. No, it's
go ahead.
It's Waiting to Exhale's first.
All right, nah, that's fine. And when I hear most important, I think of everything that could have gone wrong with this film. it's a black-led cast of females, and it's in '95 when the only bankable black actor or actress was a guy named Eddie Murphy. And if he wasn't dressing up in no dress, your movie was not going to do numbers at the box office, right? Mm-hmm. So that's that. Also, music-wise, I think some of the songs on this album help make the career of some other people, right? And then Not Gonna Cry, it's a big Mary J. Blige hit. And I think that it's a testament to how great it did in the movie that this song has actually graduated to out the stratosphere of the movie. So I'm actually saying that as a plus. So when I hear most important, one could argue that the reason Waiting to Exhale is kind of lived on and become a classic over these years, because when you look at the box office results, it would beg to differ. I mean, it did okay for you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, for it to be as massive a success as a Black classic as it is now, a lot of that I think has to do with the success of this song. So that's what I'm saying. I think it's not a problem that I don't necessarily think of this movie when I think of the song, because this song had so many legs that it helped carry the career, not carry, but it lifted the tide of the career known as like Mary J. Blige's career. The movie, I think certain people were introduced to this movie because of that song, that music video. That music video probably did better promotion for the movie than the shoot video did. I don't even remember the shoot video. Was there a video?
Yeah, there's a video for it.
Mm-hmm. All right, see, nobody remembers it. I don't remember.
I remember it.
All right, so all right, one.
I said nobody.
I remember it.
Jesus Christ.
And to counter what you were saying as far as like what it did for people's careers, this was also around more for Whitney Houston's career than it did for Mary J. Blige's career, because shortly after that, you have the Preacher's Wife soundtrack that comes out in 1996. So everybody already knows Whitney Houston stole the Preacher's Wife. Yes, we have Denzel. Great. Denzel is always going to be Denzel, but it was just like, we're just coming off of this Waiting to Exhale train. And then she hits us and she gut checks us again with the Preacher's Wife, vocally and on film as well too. So it's kind of like, yeah, that was great for MJB, but it's like, okay, we're still on the Whitney train. We're still on the Whitney train. We're still on the Whitney train.
Oh, for sure. And like I said, that album, it had the makings of a failure. That's why I said I feel sorry for some of the people on the side B of that album, because your songs are matched up against the juggernaut that is a Whitney Houston. I think Whitney was responsible for those initial sales, but once people started seeing there was talent on this soundtrack, it probably pushed out probably 6 million more units that back half, because people went to the Mary J track and they're like, oh shoot, there actually is some talent on. It's not just a Whitney show, guys.
Well, those I would tell you, those are the top 2 songs on the album.
For sure.
Top 2.
That's why, to me, it's the most important. If you miss on that, people are. It's another Bodyguard situation, Bill, where it's like, okay, I'm not listening to nothing else other than these top 2 Whitney tracks. You see what I'm saying? This is important. Number one, it because of the way that it was put in the film, Not Gonna Cry became an anthem for women who were going through those situations. Not Gonna Cry is one of the songs that it ties in with everyone's character. Oh, she's not gonna cry no more, even though she just got divorced and her ex-husband don't want to rock with her. She not gonna cry no more. She a career woman and she tired. Like right now, she's just like, she looking for love and she can't find it. She not gonna cry no more. She's just a sneaky link and she like, you know what I mean? And she got to put up with this dude with his nonsense that keep coming to the crib and he married. You know what I mean? Oh, she not gonna cry no more. She going through a divorce, done sacrifice all these years, and then dude don't want to rock with her anymore. It ties in perfectly with everyone's character. If you want to explain what the movie's about, I think that's a better go-to than Shoot. Outside of the title, I think with Shoot, I think Not Gonna Cry is a better personification of the soundtrack of the movie. And once again, these are opinions.
Listen, go ahead. Yeah, it's all opinions, but it's just funny when you think about. Let me ask you this. Since we're saying that song is the biggest, most important.
Yeah.
Well, no, I can't really say that because
that would be individual careers. But I think that. Yeah, I just think that it was just so important because I don't know if Mary becomes who she is without this song.
That's what I'm saying.
Because if you take away Shoot, right?
Whitney's still Whitney.
But even though she's still Whitney, she still had I Will Always Love You. And we already know what that did. We know what that did because that was prior. That was the soundtrack prior. That was the movie prior.
Yeah.
But
all of these, and by the way, all of these are building blocks to just making it, because this is considered one of the most classic, soundtracks, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And all of these songs are building blocks to that. I just think that if you remove that element, the world looks like a different place for Mary, for the movie, you know what I mean? For the album sales, and for the respect. I don't think it carries on as becoming one of the best soundtracks if that song's not on it. It changed the identity of who Mary J. Blige was. She was like, oh, that's the real Love girl. She be doing dances with the boots and all that. And I'm like, wait, you're 20. Okay. It changed my mindset around her career. That's important to me. Whitney is going to be Whitney without this movie, without this soundtrack. See what I'm saying? But all of this is a matter of opinion. And that's why we had to go.
That's why we have my 2 cents, the comments, the audience. Y'all know what to do. It's Coco, right? Are we right? Y'all go to the comment section. Leave your 2 cents.
I have a strong feeling. I want to see how this goes because I think sometimes because me and you may look at it from the male perspective.
That's true too.
I think Coco definitely. Yeah, Coco has insight, so I'm kind of leaning on her experience. We'll let Coco go first.
I would say going back to we're still on most important.
Say it again.
Are we still on the most important?
We could still say what you got.
So to go back to what you were saying about like basically, I guess for you, this was like your Mary has arrived moment with that song. First of all, let me go back to what you were saying on how you said this song pretty much plays a role with all of them. I highly 100% disagree, especially if you listen to the lyrics. That song was made for Bernadine's situation and Bernadine's situation only. Mm-hmm. She's the only person that basically had to find herself and get from out of the shadow of a man. In the regard of, now I got to start my whole life over professionally. I built you up and then you left me out to dry. So that I would say, as far as what it did for Mary's career, it definitely gave her a more mature audience. Mm-hmm. I will say that it made the aunties come back and start listening to her because, as y'all said, she probably was super young around that time among all the people with the content that she was writing about. It resonated with the aunties for them to come back and say, okay, well, she might know what she's talking about. She could sit at the brown people table. Whereas Whitney, however, what it did for Whitney is it brought back and solidified her R&B crowd that was already kind of shaky as it was. It was just like, okay, well, I don't know, Whitney. Like, remember she was the pop princess for a long time. Then she got into R&B. And then around that time, as she was doing press with Bobby Brown in tow. So it was one of those things for her. It solidified her that, hey, I'm here in the R&B world, not going nowhere, and I'm gonna even show y'all, I'm gonna be in this movie, and I'm gonna carry the soundtrack, and I'm gonna bring y'all home a Grammy on top of that. So it gave Mary more of a mature audience because we still had What's the 411 and we still had My Life. So let's not leave out that she still had those 2 albums that put a name out there for her. On top of that, granted, it wasn't like, okay, hey, this wasn't like her.
The identity changed though.
Her identity changed, but I won't say it was the song that was just like, dang, people are noticing Mary. They've been noticing Mary way before that.
For sure.
Yeah.
But I think one thing I disagree on is Whitney was Whitney. Whitney at this point, people was waiting. Whatever she did with Bodyguard, this is some of the residuals. I think she was queen at that point. Like I'm talking about, you had Michael. And Whitney was under that. Like if she put out a project, you was buying it blindly. And I think she had a pop appeal. Like black people was rocking with her. R&B.
I think it was a reminder also. It's
Go ahead.
So like I think now for this generation, your reminder person is like Beyonce. When you put Beyonce on something, it's just like, okay, you didn't have to put Beyonce on there. We already know what Beyonce can do. No, I'm just here to remind y'all. Don't get it twisted.
Don't play with it.
What it was. for Whitney Houston. It was a reminder. And so much so, I'm gonna bring home a Grammy on top of that.
Yeah.
It's like a Jay-Z verse. Like, hey, don't come on now. Y'all know who I am. Don't play with me. Drake and all. Don't stop. Y'all know who I am.
We'll let Coco go first on.
All right.
Coco.
Most favorite.
So now,
go ahead, Coco. What's your favorite song? Favorite song?
My favorite is Let It Flow.
Yeah.
I play that song at ignorant levels about at least 7 times on the first stream. I specifically enjoy listening to it in my car, bass and treble all the way up to the max. Again, it is the way that the instruments hit in that song. Like it's euphoric. Like it takes me to a completely different level with that. Then you throw in the lyrics, and you throw in Tony's voice. That right there, hands down. If I had to reorder the soundtrack, that would be number 1 on top of the soundtrack. And then I would have to listen to that at least like 17 times before I get to anything else. So that is my favorite on the entire album, Let It Flow.
Yeah, I'm gonna piggyback. That's my favorite one too. I think mine can change depending on my mood and depending on the day, because this album is so great. He has so many great songs, but it's kind of like when I think about like a basketball player and somebody's he's greater in shooting than he is in defense, or he's greater in ball handling. That song is basically like a 9 all the way across. You know what I mean? Like there's no weak parts. There's no nothing. Man, that song is great. And like, God, like they're like a freaking super duo. Like they always do what they need to do and get it done. And it's always done right. Yep. So with those two, man, that song is perfect. That song is perfect.
All right, so mine is complicated. I'm not gonna lie. So here it is. My favorite song today, I'm like Bill, to where mines may change. But if you asking me today, it's All Night Long by SWV. However, if somebody came to me and said, all of these songs are disappearing from the face of the earth and you can only keep one, I'm probably rocking with Tony. I'm a push with y'all, but just know today I'm in that moment where it's like, I'm really rocking with the SWV joint, the All Night Long. However, from the first moment I heard this album, like me being in the 3rd grade to me being 35 now, I've went through more time periods where Tony Let It Flow was just my favorite song on the album. But for some reason, these last 2 years, I just been with rocking with SWV. So it's almost a 3-way tie, but mine has an asterisk on it. But yeah, I love the Tony record. But also I love the SWV track. But if you're holding a gun to my head and say, hey man, all of this got to disappear except one. Yeah. I'm tossing All Night Long to the wind. My bad, SWV. But Tony, the track just goes too hard.
It goes too hard. All right. Let's move on. We got a few more things to go. Positives and negatives. What do you take on positives and negatives from this album? And I think positives are, I think we discussed it. Yeah. But negatives is there anything negative about the album?
I would say the only thing that would be negative for me is also positive, but I would say because the movie is so heavily drenched in sisterhood, the fact that the person carrying the torch musically is a man, it's kind of like, oh man, damn. So it's like, okay, so a man is telling our story, like, especially since the book is written by a woman.
Yeah, directed to.
But it's directed by a man and produced by a man.
Yep.
Some of that is timing. It's just in the 90s, you could not get this movie film.
Which is understandable.
Yeah.
Which is understandable.
I feel you on that.
It just sucks because it's so heavily rooted again in sisterhood and women empowerment and all that stuff. And it's just like, dang, we could have had a win with that one, ladies, but there were no producers at that time or women producers that, probably could have produced the magic that is this soundtrack. I honestly, again, but it's also positive. I don't think I would have wanted to trust this with anyone else but Babyface. So, yep. And because he's worked with all of these artists in some way, shape, form, or fashion, either produced an album for them, wrote a song for them, or whatever. So it's like he knew how to handpick every single one of these women and every single one of these songs for these women. So it was like, that's what made it so special. It's like everything he did was strategic. It wasn't like, I just wrote a whole bunch of songs and whoever y'all got the budget for, bring them in type situation. He was very specific about what he chose for that. That to me is the only negative, is that it was, just male dominated on writing, producing, all of that stuff. So
he could have easily not stuck the landing on that. It's just so fortunate he did, because I'm like, nowadays, if this was made and it was male driven, nobody rocking with this album, and the music not gonna make sense. So the fact that he could write these songs in a woman's voice is just remarkable. That we got lucky on this one. Hey, so this is a classic soundtrack album. We're gonna try to rank this on a scale from like, how you want to do this, Bill? You explain.
Let's do 5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars. Okay. 5 is the highest. 1 is the lowest, or matter of fact, no stars, lowest, if you want to say that. Yeah. And we could do halves. You could say 1.5, 2.5, 3, 3.5, whatever. So it's up to you. Barry, go ahead. You kick it off.
All right. So for me, I think some of the best soundtracks, when you think about it, you got like Purple Rain, you got you got Boomerang soundtrack, and then Bodyguard to me is God level. But how much songs on that, Bill?
5.
Yes, 5. It's like 5 good songs on that.
Well, if you count her little gospel song, that's 6. But
yeah, it's really 5 songs. 5 songs. So with this, it's 5 big records on this, and then there's a lot of other solid songs. To me, I'm going to put it at 5. I mean, I think it's definitely top tier when it comes to soundtracks. So I think this is definitely one of the standards. Whenever you're comparing remarkable soundtracks, this comes up a lot. So it's probably like a good, like probably 5 soundtracks where it's like on point, and this is one of them. So with that being said, since this is like God level, I have to like give it a 5 out of 5 stars.
5. Go ahead, Coco.
Yeah, hands down, it's 5 out of 5 for me as well. And that's even on like 2 different perspectives, on a music level perspective. So as far as how everything is produced and packaged and put together, and sound quality, and then just overall for me as a woman, there's literally like a Bible of songs that I can go to and pick out whatever my mood is. There's a song for it in this album. So it's like, it holds a little bit near and dear to me on 2 different sides of things that are important to me being a woman and me loving music. So the fact that it can check off all my boxes on both sides, it's hands down just makes it a 5 out of 5. And then Babyface, like, hello, Babyface to me has not missed. So, that's just kind of a no-brainer. So it's definitely a 5 out of 5 for me.
Hey man, 5 out of 5. What are we talking about here? 5 out of 5. You have 15 original songs. 15 original songs, 1 remake. What are we talking? Instrumentation, you got vocals, you got mood, it goes right along with the movie. There's nothing that you can say that this album did not cover. It covered every emotion that you wanted to hear. It covered feelings, it covered reactions. Everything that you can think of, this album covered. So 5 out of 5, hands down, easily, no brainer. Easy.
Come on, man. Yeah, you don't talk about something that was made in 95 in December 1st, 2021, because it's an okay album. I think the fact that we're reviewing this album, it's a 5 out of 5. We all agree on that. So, hey, actually, some weird things were said tonight, man. A couple people may be tripping. I don't know if they're off the influence, but hey, let's see what you guys think. Like, do you agree with a lot of the stuff that was said, especially when it comes to the biggest? I want to hear biggest song, most important song, and your favorite song. Put your 2 cents. Where could they share that, Bill?
Hey, go to the comment section down below and add your 2 cents. My 2 cents. Let us know. Biggest song, your most important song, and your favorite song.
And let us know what you guys are, if you guys are skipping anything. Let us know. Like, I want to see. Maybe we're tripping. And then shout out to Coco for coming. I think we've kind of been keeping our fingers crossed behind the scenes that she would join us. She knows a lot about music. Me and her age is on par. And I think the fact that we be knowing about some of these old school songs, like she's the only person I think that could like go toe to toe with us when it comes to fun facts and trivia about some of these classic albums. So I definitely say this won't be the last time. Send her some love. We got her her links on the page. So just go ahead and share your 2 cents with her on social media. And then outside of that, Bill, is there anything else they could do?
You know what to do.
Listen, sharing your 2 cents with me, but my biggest rule, I don't argue with people on the internet. So if you disagree, you disagree with yourself.
Argue with your mama.
On the internet or in person. I done had an argument with her in real life, and then I slowly but surely realized I was arguing with myself. Trust me, that's money right there.
Absolutely.
So, go ahead, Bill.
Hey, you know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell so that when we drop new content, you will be the first to know about it.
All right, outside of that, peace.
Peace.